Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we are taking a shortcut, really, into a concept that affects, well, every single person listening, I think. It doesn't matter what's in your bank account, your industry, or even if you love your job. We're going to deconstruct the rat race using some incredibly sharp insights from our source material, Metin.
And our mission here is to get past that surface level definition. We really want to uncover the paradox at the heart of it all. Why do so many people who are, by all accounts, financially stable?
The ones who did everything right.
Exactly. The ones who followed the rules, why do they still feel so profoundly trapped? And if we can maybe identify the mechanism of that cage, we can start to see a path out.
That's the core of it. And the source, it doesn't just leave us hanging. It hits you right away with this paradox. It defines the rat race as, and I'm quoting here, a system where people work their entire lives but never feel free.
It's a powerful definition.
It is. And we all know the blueprint we're given from, an early age. It's pretty simple. Go to school, study hard, get good grades, so one day you can get a good job.
It's the standard script, isn't it? It's designed to get you from point A, education, to point B, employment. But what that script conveniently leaves out is maybe the single most high-stakes truth about what a job actually is.
Okay, let's unpack that. The fundamental exchange. Because this is where the system's design really shows its true cost. The source frames this as a bit of a shock, even if it sounds simple at first. A job is just a trade.
And if you dig into the specifics of that trade, that's where the trap really gets its teeth. You're trading your time for money. Now, that sounds fine.
It sounds normal. It's what everyone does.
But the source is so explicit about this. Time is the one thing you can never get back. It is a non-renewable resource. The moment you agree to link your survival to selling that resource, you've just put a hard structural limit on your own freedom.
That is an alarming way to put it. But wait, for millions, a steady paycheck is the solution. It's the bedrock. It's safety. Are we sort of dismissing that fundamental need?
Not at all. Not at all. The paycheck is essential, absolutely, for survival. And the system is, frankly, brilliant because it makes that initial safety feel so incredibly good. That first paycheck lands.
Right.
And you feel like you've conquered scarcity. You think, okay, problem solved. But what the source is warning us about is that this safety is incredibly temporary. It comes at the cost of immediate dependency.
And that cycle just accelerates right away. That good feeling, it's instantly overridden by the next thing, by both necessity and desire.
Exactly. The system instantly demands payment. So here come the obligations you can't avoid: rent, loans, subscriptions. But the most insidious one, the one that really gets you, is what the source calls lifestyle upgrades.
Ah, yes. The lifestyle upgrades, they feel like a reward, you earned it. But they are secretly the strongest part of the trap.
Absolutely, because you earn a little more, so you immediately spend a little more. You think you can afford it. A bigger apartment, a fancier car.
A better vacation, even.
All of it. And all those things, whether you need them or just want them, they create this undeniable need for the next paycheck and the next one.
And this whole process, this transition from feeling safe to just feeling dependent. This brings us to a much deeper definition of the rat race itself.
It really does.
Because when we picture the rat race, you think of someone struggling, just barely getting by. But the source says very clearly that the rat race is not poverty, it's not failure, it's much, much more subtle.
And if you connect that dependency to the final outcome, the source defines it as comfortable survival. And that's the nuance. That's what keeps people locked in, often for their entire lives.
Comfortable survival.
The specific mechanism is that you earn just enough to stay in the system, but not enough to escape it. You get paid enough for your time that you're comfortable, you're not in crisis, but you never, ever build up enough surplus, enough leverage to break that time for money trade. You're just on a treadmill that perfectly matches your speed.
That is the big aha moment, isn't it? You're comfortable. You're a success by society standards, but you are still just running every single day. So when people have this realization, what's the first sort of intuitive reaction?
They think the solution is simple. It's linear. They just need more money.
Of course.
They think, I just need a higher salary, a promotion, maybe more hours. They're applying an effort-based solution to what is, at its heart, a structural problem.
Okay, so let me challenge that for a second. Let's say I beat the system. I work hard, I get a big promotion, I double my salary. I now have, say, 50% more disposable income. How is that not a structural improvement? That feels like freedom.
It feels like freedom because the cage got bigger. But the walls are still there. And this brings us to, I think, the most critical thesis in the entire source material.
Which is?
More income without ownership just means a better cage. You might move from an iron cage to a gilded one, it has plusher carpeting, better views, but you still don't control the mechanism that generates your money. And crucially, your higher income is now tied to a much higher dependency.
That makes perfect sense. A
Mhm.
higher salary usually comes with a higher mortgage, higher property taxes,
Right.
just a higher baseline of what you have to spend every month to maintain that better
Yeah.
life.
Right.
So if you lose that job, the fall is so much further
Mm-hmm.
and faster.
Exactly. You have to run even harder just to maintain the upgrades that your better cage requires.
Yeah.
The system is designed this way. It rewards people for compliance. It rewards people who follow rules, show up on time, and stay predictable.
Because that's what keeps the machine running.
It's what keeps it smooth, and it explicitly does not reward people who question it.
That structural reality, it explains the role of our institutions perfectly. I mean, the whole curriculum, from grade school onward, it's designed to feed this machine.
Correct. School teaches you how to be a good employee, how to follow instructions, meet deadlines, work in a hierarchy. Then your job reinforces all that training. It teaches dependency, and the anchor holding the entire thing in place, it's debt.
So how does debt keep you obedient? Is it just the fear of defaulting, or is there something deeper behaviorally that the sources talk about?
It's both. Debt keeps you obedient. If you have massive student loans, a mortgage, car payments, you physically cannot afford the risk of challenging the system. You can't just take a break or walk away to try and build something on your own. Think about the first financial paperwork you ever signed. That student loan, maybe a mortgage application. Did anyone at any point hand you an equivalent document detailing compound interest on an asset that produces income?
No, never. That knowledge is it's completely missing from the standard curriculum. So you have this perfect feedback loop funneling everyone into this high compliance, high dependency structure.
Right.
Which means there is a huge critical knowledge gap for anyone trying to get out.
And that gap is the biggest barrier. No one teaches you about assets. No one teaches you about leverage. And fundamentally, no one teaches you how money actually works outside of the very narrow path of earning a paycheck.
And that missing education is precisely what creates the wealth divide we see. The source material outlines so clearly. It's not just about working harder. It's a completely different strategy.
Precisely. The poor and the middle class work for money. Their cash flow is tied directly to their active time. If they stop working,
The money stops.
the money stops. On the other hand, the wealthy build systems that produce money. They work to decouple their time from their income. They use assets that generate money pretty much automatically.
So if the big difference is building systems, then we need to really internalize the strategic shift here. It's not about effort, it's about structure. The source gives us 3 really clear pillars for this shift in thinking.
These 3 pillars, they basically summarize the whole philosophy. First, you have to focus on assets instead of paychecks. An asset puts money in your pocket whether you're working or not. A paycheck only comes when you work. It's the difference between getting paid once for your time versus creating something that pays you over and over again.
Okay, and the second pillar is prioritizing ownership instead of permission. If your income depends on someone else's decision, a raise, a budget, a job offer, you're operating on permission. True independence comes from controlling the thing itself, the business, the intellectual property, whatever it is.
And the third, which is really the key to scaling, is focusing on leverage instead of effort. If you only rely on your own effort, you are capped. You have 24 hours in a day, and that's it. Leverage is how you multiply your output beyond your personal input. Using technology or capital or other people's time to expand what you can do, that's how you actually start building a system.
So let's bring this back to the person listening who's having that realization right now. They're in this comfortable cage. The source says escaping doesn't mean quitting your job tomorrow. That's a really important point. So where does the real work actually begin?
It begins with awareness. Just pure awareness, understanding that the game is structured to maximize your dependency. And so the goal isn't to earn more. That's what the system wants you to chase.
So the true goal, the goal of freedom, is to need less of your time to survive.
Yes.
When you start building assets that cover your basic expenses, you're systematically buying back your time. You're shrinking that mandatory dependency.
That is the definition of reversing the flow. We're moving beyond just tactics now and into a fundamental reframe of the whole problem. And the source drives this home with one single crucial shift. It's the shift that decides if you stay in the race or you step out of it.
And it's the moment you stop asking that question the system taught you to ask, which is, how do I make more money?
And you start asking the revolutionary question, how do I stop trading my life for money? The moment you ask that question, you've already started to change the game. You don't have to be wealthy to do this. You just have to reverse the flow of your most precious resource, your irreplaceable time.
That shift from dependency to awareness is it's incredibly powerful. We started by defining the rat race not as failure, but as this comfortable survival.
Mm-hmm.
The situation where you earn just enough to stay in the system, but you never feel free because your time is always obligated to someone else.
And we've walked through why just chasing a higher income is a false solution. It often just leads to a better, more expensive cage if you don't have ownership and leverage. The key takeaway is that freedom isn't about the size of your income. It's about whether that income requires your irreplaceable time.
And that's the dividing line, the difference between working for money and building systems that produce money.
And that shift in the question you ask yourself, that realization that you need to stop trading your life away, that is the first necessary step to building those systems.
Most people never make that critical shift in questioning, which just keeps them on the treadmill. But if you are listening right now, you already started that process.
So if the wealthy build systems that produce money and time truly is irreplaceable, here's the final thought for you to take with you. If you've already started asking the right question, what small system or asset can you begin building today? Even if it only saves you 10 minutes of mandatory work next month. What is the smallest possible action you can take that starts reversing the flow of the life or money trade?